Fisher. We'll start with Mike and then go to Zach.
Yeah, when you looked at the film, I don't know if you had a chance to sit down with the Ohio State game. What kind of stood out when you kind of reviewing of your defensive performance?
Yeah, defensively, I think we did a good job getting pressure on the quarterback. I think Isaiah Jones and Elijah Hardy played phenomenal football games. I think our D-line did a great job. Secondary did a great job after. I think we gave up a couple explosives, but I think we did a good job after that. The one touchdown we gave up, just scramble mechanics. We got to do a better job plastering, but still some cleanup we got to do. I know a lot of the access shots. Sometimes we, as a defense, we can kind of give those up. Just little out routes to. I think the receiver was Smith at the time. He had a couple of those to kind of get him going, but ultimately, I think we came out physical with bad intentions, and I think we did a good job for the most part in doing our job and limiting their explosive plays from a really good offense.
We'll go Zach and then Matt.
I may be wrong about this, but I believe you were one of the people that kind of waded into that scrum on the sideline during the Iowa game when Fernando takes the hit, going out of bounds on third down. I know in that moment everybody's just kind of trying to defend your teammate, whatever, but what does it say to his teammates about a quarterback that he's willing to take a hit like that in a moment like that? He's stretching for a first down. Obviously, I know it's a physical game, but he knows that kind of contact is coming. What does a quarterback, I guess, almost like prove to his teammates in a moment like that in your mind?
Yeah, I was sitting next to him in the post-game interview when he said that he would die on the field, to play this game. And a lot of people laugh and chuckle about it, but he is dead serious. He will do anything it takes to win. He cares so much about his team and his teammates, and whatever it takes to win, he's going to do it. And if that's taking a big hit to reach for a first down on third down, he's going to do that. He's just been such a great leader and somebody that's so selfless. He's been a seamless fit since he's gotten here, and I think that's why he sacrifices everything to win.
Going right to Matt Weaver and then Sammy.
Aiden, Tyreek Tucker's a guy that you were with at JMU, came over at the same time as you did. You obviously was in the rotation last year, but has really exploded this year, first team all-conference. Just what have you seen from your time with him over there and then coming here and just his progress in the 2 years he's been here with this program?
Yeah, he's been great. Talking to him this spring, it was different for him. Throughout his career, he had somebody to chase, that was in a starting spot ahead of him. And I remember talking to him in the spring, and he was like, it's a different feel when, you're not chasing somebody. And, he even said, but I still have that feeling, like I'm always chasing somebody. And I think that's why he's seen such steady improvement. Everything that he's done this year has been phenomenal. His pass rush has been great. His run, stuff and run blocking has been, amazing. Just getting off blocks, shedding blocks, making tackles. He's been, essential for us to, make any run that we've made. And he's just been great. His leadership has really come a long way. He's just done everything right. And I can't say enough about him. He's done a great job.
Real quick, a follow-up. I know you lost your dad and your stepfather. He lost his mom a year ago. Have you ever talked to him about that? And just kind of, because you obviously have experience with that and helping through it.
Yeah, we talked about it when it happened. He's not the type of person that really wants to talk about it a lot. I think a lot of it he kind of internalizes, and everybody deals with it a different way. But he's been great. The way he handled that. He's got his brother that he leans on a lot, and I think those two have definitely had a lot of conversations and talked about it. But I don't want to touch too much on his situation.
Going your right to Sammy and then Zach B.
Aiden, you guys don't know your opponent yet for the Rose Bowl, but what do the next 10 days look like before you know that? Is it kind of like a bye week, or are you focusing on individual stuff and kind of looking self-scouting?
Yeah, I say for us, self-scout's going to be huge. I know a lot of things that, even in that game, there were a couple of things on defense that we did a little sloppy that we need to clean up. So, cleaning up the little things that we got beat on is going to be big. I think for every player, you got to look at yourself and, is there anything you're doing that you can improve right now? And there's always something. So, if that's something that your stance or something is tilting, what we're doing that or an offense can see from us schematically, we got to fix that. Little things, technique, alignment, everything up until your assignment. There's a lot of things that we got to look at. And then right now is, there's more time for improvement. Clean everything up and then improve on things that, you've done a good job on or you haven't. So I think self-scouts can be huge. And for us, it's not really, 3 weeks of being off. It's more so, get better at what you do right now, and then when the time comes to scout another opponent, you'll be an even better player and in an even better situation to do that.
What does rest and recovery look like too?
Yeah, I think that's also a big thing. So while you're trying to blend, getting better as a player and as a team and a scheme, you got to do a great job of, coming out of every week healthy. So I think, for us, obviously we're not going to be doing, full prep for a team right now. So we'll be getting some more recovery time in. I think maybe one extra off day, if so. But, I think it's really on the players right now to get your feet back under you, get healthy, be ready to go when the time is here.
We'll go Zach B and then Lou.
You said it earlier, Coach Lignetti said it yesterday. What does it say about this team that it didn't take an absolutely perfect performance to beat the then #1 team in the country on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think we have a special team here. We did a lot of ugly things, offense, defense, special teams as well. But for us, I think when it came down to it, and, in the biggest moments, that's when we shined as a team. Defensively, I think we did a great job, limiting their points, their explosives, and, forcing them to make the mistakes. We weren't going to be the ones that, were giving up the blown assignments or coverages or anything like that. Just forcing them to, make mistakes and making them uncomfortable. But we know we didn't play a perfect game. That's hard to do in football. So just knowing that we can do that and still have a good victory like that is something that, gives us a lot of confidence, but definitely have to improve going forward.
We'll stay on your right to Lou and then Pete.
How did you celebrate the rest of Saturday night? And are you going to wear your medal to class or put it in storage?
That medal's already, on where I, keep all my football stuff. I'm looking to add some more stuff to that collection, so I don't want to be looking at that for too long. And then I had some family in town. One of my best friends that, plays at Michigan State was down here. So it was good just spending time with them and, just celebrating for the rest of that night. And then, let it kind of leisure into a little bit. We don't have an opponent for the next couple of weeks, but I think we gave ourselves 24 to 48 hours. And, now we're on to, recovery, getting better, improving as players and, as a scheme. So I think we're kind of off that and on to the next.
We'll go upper left to Pete and then Daniel.
Yeah. Hey, Aiden, a couple things. One, how do you, in terms of preparation, will you find yourself looking at like Alabama, Oklahoma film just to get a head start on that? And then the second part is, beyond what the team does, do you try to do something to keep that competitive edge? You don't want to get obviously soft and lazy in these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, for me, I think I'll probably start prep this week. Just watching both teams. Maybe not a deep dive because you don't know, exactly who yet, but just getting a good feel and a sense for both teams. And then, once it is time to, get into that prep, you're already a step ahead. And then competitively, I don't think this team needs anything extra. The way we practice, the way we, lift and, do our runs, we're always talking to each other. And, if somebody's not doing the best job, we'll let you hear it. So just, continuing to be us, continuing to improve is the biggest thing for us. And just make sure we're not getting complacent, like you said.
We'll go Daniel and then Tom.
On stage on Saturday, I think you were kind of spearheading the Heisman chance a little bit. What is the case there? Like, when you look at Fernando and you're trying to explain, like, okay, like, he is the Heisman, where do you start?
I think you just start with his film. The throws that he makes, they wow you every time. The job that he's been able to do this year has been nothing short of remarkable. I think when you talk about the Heisman and the best football player in the country, winning football games has to matter. And, I think he's won more than anybody in the country. I think there's one undefeated team left. So when you look at, his resume for this award, there's going to be a lot of games that come down to fourth quarter, clutch drives to win football games, and he's done it every time. So for me, that's my Heisman. I think that should be America's Heisman. He's the best football player in the country, and I don't think it's close. But, just talking from here, he's done such a phenomenal job of being a leader for us, somebody that we depend on and can count on every single time. And, Saturday when they announce it, I hope they make the right decision. But, he's fantastic at everything he does.
We'll go second row right to Tom and then wrap up with Owen.
Aiden, now once, if you don't mind, take me back to 2 years ago when the first conversation was had about coming here and what you thought it might be like and what has actually happened, if you could have envisioned this at all?
I think to be successful, you got to be a little bit delusional. You got to be able to buy into some things that maybe don't seem like they could come true, but if you believe it enough, it will come true. And, meeting with Coach Sig, we went through the schedule that first year, and, we went through every game. And we knew the challenges. We knew what we could do. We looked at the roster and who we could, have, come to us and contribute. But just talking to Coach Sig that first year and how confident he was that, this could come true. And I know I've seen a lot of things where he was a year late on his prediction, but just the belief that he had in himself and in this program to turn around this quick, it was easy to, buy into that and believe in him after showing me what he could do at JMU for 2 years. And he walked me through my process before I even got there, and it came to fruition. So having Coach Sig at the head of this has been phenomenal. Everything that he's done has just propelled us forward in every single way. But 2 years ago, looking at it, you had to buy into that delusion. You had to buy into, we're going to be that team, and he did a great job of, helping us buy into it.
Last one, second row left,
And if I recall correctly, when Fernando went down, you went up to Alberto when he was warming up. Just what did you say to him in that moment, and what gives you confidence as a team that, barring something like that happens, he's able to thrust into that role?
Yeah, I told him that we had his back. I said, go out there and just sling it. We have all the confidence in the world in you. And that dude's got some confidence to him. He's got some swagger. He looked at me and said, I got us. Don't even worry about it. So, the confidence was just, flowing between me and him. So, in that case, I was extremely confident in Bert. He puts in as much work as Fernando does. They're in here together every single night, every single day. So, just a lot of confidence in him. But to have a team that's going to rally behind anybody, I think is special. And I think we were, excited for his opportunity for Rose. But obviously, when you have the Heisman, you want your Heisman back. So, it was special to know the team was going to rally regardless, and we were just ready to go. And I told the defense, if they don't score, they don't win. So we kind of put it all on us, and we knew what was going to happen from there.
Great, thanks, Aiden.
Well, thank you guys.